Good morning and g'day, mate, and welcome back to Dyson Sphere with me, Jenny. Now, also, I should have introduced good old Icarus with us. Now, today we're going to be moving on to our next black box build. But before I do that, I do want to make just a small little announcement. Yes, announcement about the giant build that I built last episode, because every single time I build these builds, I always come back and I double check things and I make sure everything's working. And honestly, the quickest way to check a large build whether it's working is look at the last couple of assemblies, and more importantly, the end of the belt. At the end of the belt, if there are resources on the end of the belt, that means at some stage did things get fast enough that the whole belt filled up. We can see that my cashmere crystals made it to the end of the belt. At the same time, we can see this titanium glass at the end of the belt. So at some stage, the build actually got fast enough. But originally, I never ever had any cashmere crystals at the end of this build because it was not quite running fast enough. And you might notice that this tower is now also outputting hydrogen. Turns out, and it's that age-old problem we've had time and time again when we're trying to run 30 items down a belt. Now, I have read comments that people have said that if you use a Mark II sorter rather than a Mark III sorter, you know, it tends to run a little bit better and you tend to fill the belt better and you tend to empty your belt better. The catch is a Mark II sorter, which I don't actually have any on me, have a cargo stacking of 1 compared to these have a cargo stacking of 6. And I'm willing to bet that's what's causing the problem. On top of that, they technically use more power because they're running a lot more often, whereas these, because they're moving 6 items at once, they're moving less often. So it's also computationally more expensive because they're running more often. So I am going to keep using sorter Mark IIIs. Eventually the devs will get around to an optimization pass and they'll come fix a lot of these problems. But for the moment, what I've actually done is I've taken 2 hydrogen belts out of this, because technically we're only bringing in 1, 2, 3 belts worth of materials, taking a 4th belt, run it up above all the way around the outside, and fed it into the rear of just the last 3 machines. Because the last 3 machines were not quite having enough hydrogen. And as you can see, it's only fed in on one side. Alright, so they still have access to the twin belts at the front, plus the first, what is it? It's 20 in the row, so 17. 17 have access to the rear belt, but it just meant that these last 3 had access to a different source of hydrogen from the front 2 towers. On top of that, you may notice I now have drones flying across, bringing hydrogen to both these towers, and I'm actually doing that because although we have plenty of hydrogen in the galaxy, none of it's terribly close to where I happen to be building this build. Let's look at the galaxy really quickly. Where I am situated on our black box planet, Noop has some hydrogen on a ice giant. Taka has hydrogen around our gas giant, around our home planet. What else? Yeah, Snakes has a ice giant. Now, I have other gas giants like close to me that I could go grab, and I could have a more direct source. Like, here's another ice giant right here, which is only 7 light years away compared to home system 6 light years. You know, pretty bad example. But here's a dedicated a dedicated a dedicated gas giant 6 light years away, which would provide plenty of hydrogen rather than going 8 years and 6 years. 8 light years and 6 light years away. But I don't want to go off and colonize new planets until I have to. So what I've done is we have our towers at the North Pole. Towers at the North Pole and South Pole in my particular case, because we built 2 blueprints. And we have 1 tower at least that's not doing anything important. It's really designed to bring in our warpers that we're going to ship around the planet. It's bringing in our power to run our power system. It's bringing in our foundation. And it has an extra slot, and it already has warpers in it ready to go. So I just threw in some big ships. I've just upped the power because obviously it didn't have nearly enough power going into this tower. Set this up for remote demand so it can fly its logistic vessels out to go get hydrogen, and also provide a little bit buffer of hydrogen into both these towers. Okay, so just a small little tweak to make sure that they maintain their hydrogen, because they were running dry occasionally. Occasionally they'd have all 10 ships out going and getting stuff from other planets. It couldn't bring enough hydrogen. So one quick little tweak there has made sure that these two towers never run out of hydrogen. At the same time, having this tower hooked up to having just a little bit of hydrogen. It's not even quite a full belt's worth. It's almost a full belt's worth. It's also almost 1/3 of a full belt's worth. Yeah, because technically they have access to 3 different belts and they will pick and choose off the 3 different belts. So it's like 10 items per second. 10 items per second are fed from this back tower into these last 6 machines has definitely fixed up my issue. So now the whole build is running at all times. And if we come over to here, we can see most of the time, not all the time, because that weird 30 item per second glitch, we'll call it a glitch for the moment, we run into occasionally. This should be running also means that now all our quantum chips are now running. We don't have that many because we don't produce that many per second. But more importantly, we're now doing the exact 7.5 per second. Prior to this, rather than making 450 per minute, we were making about 400. And I found most of the things in the game, when you design a perfect build that makes exactly X per minute, it makes X per minute within about 10% of that number. You know, plane filters, we should be making exactly 900. As you can see, it's bobbing up and down. If we change this over to 10 minutes, you know, 449.5.4. Yeah. Plane filters should be neat 900. It's not. It's close, but not quite there. So I found most of the builds are generally within about 10%, even though they're ratioed out perfectly. But yeah, just something I wanted to mention. So today's episode, we have two plans. One is we're going to make the gravity matrix. Gravity matrix should be super easy. It's just going to require a whole bunch of labs, much like the information matrix did. It's going to be a boring build. So let's just get that pumped out first. And the beauty of this build is we can just about put it anywhere on the planet because it's not going to be, he says it's not going to be too big. It's going to be fairly sizable. Let's just clear a bit of area. We're going to need some labs, which means find the right tower. That one, I'm going to have, yeah, 300? Sure, give me all 300. Okay, we're going to pop in a tower right here. We're going to set you up to bring in quantum chips, and also, what was the other thing we needed? Graviton lenses. We're going to bring in warpers because, you know, every tower has warpers. In this case, it won't be to ship out the items. It'll be to, yeah, I know. It'll be to ship the graviton lenses off to where they need to go, and we're going to bring a belt return. Yeah, we're going to do a return belt first, so we can put in our labs. I'm going to make sure we're far enough out from the tower we don't clip it too much. Yeah, we could probably go a tile or two closer. Let's go with that tile. That might be a tile too many. Can I bring that back up? There. How's that? I feel like I'm back where I started. There. Yeah, that works. Okay, so we're going to have the quantum chips come out this way. The graviton lens come out this way. We're going to set you guys to make green science. Now, green science takes 24 seconds. It's super duper duper fast. We're going to put in sorter, output sorter. We're going to grab one of those, rotate you twice, bring out our belts again. Number 1, out to about here somewhere. Number 2, out to about here somewhere. Same story, stack up some labs. And then in theory, I should be able to copy, no, hang on. Let's add our sorters first. Input, oh, that is so not what I wanted, but sure. Input. You already have an output. We're going to go copy from there to there without the belts, paste, and then theory, because we tried this with purple science and it failed, in theory it was a bug and the devs have fixed it. So that's a no-go. That should be a go. Hey, it works. Okay. We're going to put power here and power here. And a power at the tower. Okay, so that is... Really, you don't have power? Okay, hang on. We can fix this. I hope. In. Yes. And... I can't fix this. No, that fixed it. Okay. So, we have... how many? They definitely look like they're clipping. They are so clipping. How are we clipping? Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can't blueprint itty bitty bits and pieces. Okay. Maybe we're just going to hand build this. Can I go back to the top, please? And deconstruct that back down. Grab that, rotate you twice, pop you there. Is that going to be right? Yeah, sure. Alright, so we have 15, 30, 60. Okay, so we have 60 already, and we're going to need a lot more. Can I get that with... Let's just do it without the power poles. Oh, and I also didn't want the belts. Without belts? Okay, so that's 60, it's 120. And then, again, without the belts, please. Line things up. That there should be 180 of them. Where do we put that power pole? Low, above, below, and one above. Cool. Alright, use the great belt deleter. And there. And that should be our whole build. That there is a lot. Like, a lot. Can we get local demand, remote storage, local demand, local remote. Can I put a power pole right about here somewhere? Yeah, that's a lot of labs. We need 180 labs just because of how long it takes for this crafting to be completed, which sort of, you know, sucks, but it is what it is. Why? Oh. No. I didn't want to actually bring that there. I want to bring that one in instead. There we go. Okay. So that should start processing very, very quickly. I should output a whole bunch of green science. So that one means we can call green science done. That is going to be, again, same ratio as we've done on the other, 15 per second. Now, do I want to change this one up? Yeah, I think I want to... One thing I do want to do, because this is a gravity matrix, okay? Because we use gravity matrix to... Of course this one unpowered. Actually, no, I think I want to change this a lot. Yeah, we're going to make a mess. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, maybe it's not fine. Can I... Okay, first off, can I put all those back in the tower? Can I find... Where is the other one making those ones? Quick, shove them back in before we run out of space. Cool. The great vacuum. Pick it up and aim it at the planet. And put those in there and put those back in that tower. Okay, so as I was saying, I don't want to build this build like all the other builds. Obviously not. I want to build this one different. I want you to actually have warpers on local supply. No. Yeah, local supply and remote supply. I want you to have 10,000 because warpers are probably more important than science. Because let's face it, if your warper production dies, your base is going to die. So we're going to bring out quantum chips. Then we're going to bring out the graviton lenses. We're going to go with, obviously, labs. We're going to need labs. I believe that was the tile. Let's go with there instead. Cool, that's the tile. Alright. Then we want to have an output belt for gravity matrix. The other thing I want to do is I want to have an assembler starting basically as close as I can, and we want you to output turn gravity matrix into warpers. Okay, so we're going to have a sorters. We're going to go that one and that one, and then we have you output. You're going to input output, and we're going to actually, yeah, let's just build them manually. It's going to be quicker. So that is, what's that, 45, 60. I still wanted to put those down, please. 75, 90. And I want to do the exact same thing on the other side. Grab one of those, rotate you. No, actually pull off all the sorters. I want you to be input, input. Have a belt that runs up and into there. Have you output. We're going to be able to put power poles right here in the middle this time. Hopefully it does get the sorters on the outside, just. We're going to build that one all the way up. And copy and paste you like that. Yeah, I still haven't set up a macro that lets me click very, very quickly 15 times in a hurry. Sort of thought now we have blueprints, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. Obviously, I probably should have invested in the, you know, use mouse button 5 to just click rapidly. Okay, oh, also helps if I set all the recipes. That would have been smart. Okay, you are going to make those. We're going to give you those materials and those materials. Copy, paste, paste, whoops, paste, paste, paste. Come to this side, paste, 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 paste. So, as I was saying, we want to have a bunch of machines. That, of course, the sorters overlap eventually. But apart from that one machine, we're good to go. Which also needs their own separate power poles. One there, and one there, which will also hook you into the main grid and start you running. Can I give you the green science to start with? And then we want another set of belts. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to want one of them. Set you up. Bring it in and out. And of course, the very next one breaks. Let's put that one there and then drag up the rest of them. All the way to there. Do the 2 with broken sorters. Which is the other one? That's the other one. Okay, so I want to maximize my warper production because, as I said, if warpers fall over, your base generally falls over. Do you have power on? Minimum, maximum, minimum. Do you have power from not that power pole? Can I confirm? Yes, okay, perfect. Alright, so warpers are very, very important. If you run out of warpers, your whole, like, intergalactic empire is going to fall and crash. So, as I said, what I've actually done is I've just set up, just made sure that things get prioritized to becoming warpers first. Now, this does mean that this tower is another warp-able tower. This is what I like to call them. And it's a tower that can produce and can ship out warpers to anywhere else in the galaxy. It is going to limit and lower your total gravity matrix production, because they're going to be prioritized to warpers first. Now, if you're 110% confident about how many warpers you have all around the galaxy, and you're not at all worried, you can, you know, just set this to, well, either not include the assemblers, which really make different lengths. How did I manage that? It's also got power poles in different spots. Really? 2, and... whatever. I'll fix it in post. So yes, if you're 100% confident in your existing warper production, or you have a dedicated tower already that's just producing, like a dedicated green science build that's just producing warpers, then I call it go for it. You know, you're perfectly fine. In my case, even though I have a dedicated tower that just produces nothing but warpers, I want this as a backup. I want a backup plan because, as I said, if I run out of warpers, I do have a tower back on my home planet that has 10,000 warpers in it. It's a backup one. It does not ship out anywhere in the world because it's my backup. If poop hits fan, I have 10,000 warpers to reboot the system. But 10,000 warpers with this is Interstellar Station number 932. That's a lot of warpers. In fact, my production stats, if we go to entire star cluster, one of these is saved. I go through 1,500 warpers per minute. So 10,000 warpers is going to last me, what, 4 minutes? 4 minutes? Yeah, I definitely want to make sure that my production is higher than my consumption at all times. So we have an extra tower that's going to pump out warpers. Once it's full of warpers, like it'll produce green science at full speed. At the moment, even with all these assemblers running, producing warpers, we can see that a good amount of green science is still making it through. So it's not an either-or situation, it's a mostly situation. Okay, so with that done, that was one of the builds I want to get through. The next build I want to get through is one that we've had issues with for a long time. Now, it is a very late game build. It is really designed to do just about, well, actually, it's designed to do a couple of things. As we just scroll through an autosave, a couple of things. So, it's also going to be a very, very simple build to make because we already have made a lot of its prerequisites, okay, as already separate black box builds. So, we're going to put down a tower. Let's go tower. Let's keep things centered. Let's go on the equator line. We're going to make the frame material, okay, because I've run out of these religiously, okay. A lot of the late game items require frame material, that being, you know, the satellite substation. We haven't really used the substation too much, but if you remember, there we go, drones now go even faster. Oh, we're doing a 32,000 research. That's going to take minutes. I didn't have particle colliders on a previous planet because I didn't have any frame materials. Like we've black boxed every other build for miniature particle colliders except for the frame material. It's also used in Dyson Sphere components. It's also used in artificial suns. Frame materials are used in a bunch of different things. So we're going to black box that thing up. Now, it's actually going to be super, super simple because it requires nanotubes. It requires titanium, so let's set these up. Nanotubes, it requires titanium alloy, and it requires silicon. That's the 3 items. It's also going to require warpers, of course. Now, I could try and split this over multiple towers to make carbon nanotubes. We could come into here and we could have like import a titanium, import a graphene, make the nanotubes on site, feed that into the build. But we already have in our published builds a black box nanotube which produces 30 nanotubes per second. So if we need more nanotubes, we could just paste this down. And that's sort of the beauty of these blueprints, right? Once you have a build that works, and this produces excess hydrogen, which is sort of good because on this planet we need extra hydrogen, so, you know, putting down a build like this won't hurt us. We don't need to worry about trying to make nanotubes as part of this build, okay? Because we have a dedicated nanotube build. Same with titanium alloy, that happens on IC smelting. High purity silicon happens on IC smelting as well. So this means this build is going to be super, super simple. You might even call it boring, but it's a build that we need to have as part of our arsenal. Now, we need to make, I want to make 15 frame materials per second. They take 6 seconds to craft, so they're going to be really, really slow to craft. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an input. We're going to have an output of, let's go material 2 on that side. Let's go material 3 on that side. We're going to throw down an assembler to get started. You are going to make frame material, that one. We're going to go input, output, input. We're going to drag you out 15. Sorry, we need the third material, being that one. On top of that, we're going to need the material that's furthest away from us, which is going to be item number 3. Drag that one down as well. We can then put another row of 15, 30 already, which is going to need the item furthest away from it. So that is nanotubes. Item number 2. Drag that down to there. It's going to need an output belt, which we can drag all the way down here. And we already know that the middle belt is the return belt, so we can plug that straight in there. We also know that that belt is too long. So you needed that material. You need that material, that material, that material, and that output material. So we can drag you all the way back up there. We can drag you all the way back up there. And then we can come to this side. We need another assembler, which is going to need the one material it's missing again, number 4. Drag that down to there, which is now going to need the material furthest away from it, which is going to be nanochips. You can grab alloy, so you don't technically need... You can have a sorter on this side. So I can shrink the whole build down by a tile. Could I? I'm just looking at this machine. This machine could get titanium alloy from here instead, which means absolutely nothing. It'd still be just as wide here in the middle. Yeah, we're just going to leave it as is. We're going to bring out the third material, being nanotubes again. Drag it to here before we run out of belt, which is on the South Pole. Belt, 2,000. Sorters, we've still got 500. Yeah, 500 should be heaps, at least for a little while. We're going to drag that to there. We're going to put down our next assembler, which does not have access to... What don't you have access to? You don't have access to titanium alloy. Yeah, titanium alloy. Okay, so titanium alloy, which is item number 3, which also gets dragged down to there, which then has a return belt, which gets shoved into the great return belt. And it's just a matter of lining up some sorters, which are output, input. Okay, no, that's... Hang on, you're grabbing... Oh, input, 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 input. So you're actually using both belts. You shouldn't be using that belt for your titanium. You should be using that belt. There we go. Now I understand why I built 3 belts down the middle. I just had to wait for past JD and future JD to catch up with one another. Okay, so that. And you're going to need a input and an output. And same story, we're just going to drag that, if I can line things up with one another, from there to there. Then it's going to be a case I'll throw some power poles in. We're doing 60 of them, so that's not going to last this long. There and there, I hope. No, of course not. Of course not. There and there. Everything is happy with me so far. So there and there. Not that far. There and there. Yeah, I find power poles to probably be the most annoying part of any of these builds. Okay, we definitely can save some tiles here. So let's grab that, delete the whole thing, delete that, and squeeze you all the way in. So output, input, output, no idea what you were. Just plug it straight back into the belt that it lines up with. Bugger. Drag that back down there. Delete that one belt off there. Plug you into there. Plug you into there. And plug you into there. And do you get power? You do get power from an existing power pole. Excellent. So it is literally a case of power up this. Max, min, max. We go remote. Local, throwing ships as well would probably help. Local remote, and that should leave that available. Now, this particular build is going to need, I should have probably gone over this earlier, we're going to need 2 belts worth of nanotubes, plus half a belt of titanium alloy, plus half a belt worth of high purity silicon, because it is a 4 to 1 to 1. That'd be 6 belts total. Way too much. So what we've done is we've built 15 items per second using 2 nanotubes, half of titanium alloy, and half of a belt of silicon, which also means that we need to bring in 60 carbon nanotubes per second. Funnily enough, we did do a previous build right here that if we read the description up here, it says 30 carbon nanotubes per second. So if I was to paste that right there, and, you know, right there, that would completely solve that 60 nanotubes per second issue that we were sort of finding ourselves in. We'd need more belts. I now have 0 sorters, so I need sorters. And I'm going to need chemical plants. Yes, so we need to find one of these vacant towers. We're going to say, I would very much like chemical plants. Just 100, please. Remote demand. And I also know I need storage tanks, which I had some earlier, and I'm pretty sure I deleted them because they just generally sit around my inventory forever. So where are we up to? We're up to many, many fast bots that, even though with all the research I've done, I still want to go faster. Okay, throw ships in there, so I'm going to have to grab some ships too. This side of the build. That's going to be interesting. I want to see this. I want to see this storage tank here. Okay. So, I know you're a local supply. We want demand. Let's go grab our supplies. So I want to have that cleared. I also wanted ships. That was the other thing I needed, which is that tower. I'm going to want all of those plus all of those. I want to put ships in here because I want to see this thing fire up. I want to know what happens when I only have one storage tank halfway up. I assume it just wouldn't work. Like, it won't use the storage tanks at all. But, you know, the only way to know for sure is definitely to experiment with these things and, you know, confirm, because priorities also means we're out of power poles. I would like 200 power poles. I didn't say that last long. Okay, so you are going to need demand. That'll be supply and supply. So, yeah, we're waiting on the fire ice to get in. But yeah, it means that once we have a simple build, and we know what our prerequisites are, like we need 60 nanotubes per second, we can just build a build, whack down that very, very quickly, and have an extra 60 nanotubes per second. You know, literally the blink of an eye. Okay, so we're waiting on that. The other build, I think, no, we're not going to have time this episode. So it'll be next episode. Definitely going to need a solar sail build. Probably also going to do a Dyson Sphere component build. Maybe straight into the small carrier rockets. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We're definitely getting close to the end of... Okay, well, there you go. It just stacks up, waiting for the storage tank to exist. Okay. Good to know. So if you don't have the storage tank, the build would break entirely. I probably didn't want 100 of those, but, you know, live and learn. Okay. Alright, so that's them running. You're still trying to find some fire, ice... Yes, okay, once they're running, we should be good to go. In the meantime, this is just filled in from elsewhere on the world, elsewhere in the galaxy. It's just up and running. Also means that as soon as we get to 1,000 frame material in here, they're probably going to end up leaving because I've been short on frame material for a very, very long time. In saying that, it's mostly in hubs which don't have a high throughput. They have the occasional usage, so in theory... there is a chance that they're all full and they're all being satisfied over time. But, you know, the only way to find out for real is get to 1,000 and nope, they're being requested out. As for prioritizing to make sure the drone, well, make sure that this uses local materials rather than flying out all over the galaxy, it's already been done. Because we have good old drones that will get sent out after we have a drop of just 100 materials in here. They'll automatically fly to the other closer ports. Can we just stand up high enough on something here? We can see that this already has requests of 100 going out to fill this tower. As long as this tower, until this tower gets down to 9,000, it won't actually request a large ship to go out. So it should maintain its you know, +5, +600 being delivered from these two local towers and not be worried about shipping out long distance. At the same time, because we're now producing hydrogen here, we're producing, hang on, let's double check. In that build, we're producing 23 hydrogen per second, which is another 23 hydrogen per second that's going to be fed into one of the many, many builds. There we go, cashmere crystals are all the way backed up. Backed up. No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. One of the many, many towers that are requesting hydrogen to feed the ever hungry cashmere crystal build. So, with all that said, I'm going to call it here for yet another episode of Dyson Sphere with me, JD, and of course the wonderful Mr. Icarus. We now have frame materials mass produced. We have only a couple of items left to go, and then I think we have a black box build for just about everything in the game. But with all that said, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you enjoyed, and as always, say hi to your mum from me. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.